Supriya Kapoor, Associate Professor in Finance at Trinity College Dublin. Thanks for joining us. So we've heard that US President Donald Trump wants to put a 25% trade tariff on EU goods coming into the US. Now, Ireland is particularly vulnerable because it exports a lot to the US, but which sectors could be particularly affected?
Thanks, Eleanor. Thanks for having me. So, relative to the other EU countries, Ireland is more exposed to tariffs because it exports proportionately more to the US. Pharmaceuticals and medical devices make the most of these exports, and much of this pharmaceutical production is in Ireland for American companies such as Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Johnson and Johnson, to name a few, of course, as well as for other global markets as well. But if US trade policies impose tariffs on Irish pharmaceutical exports, the increased costs could disrupt the supply chains, it could reduce competitiveness and impact production decisions as well. And another a vulnerable sector will be the agricultural food sector, I would say. Ireland is well known for its high quality exports in dairy and beef. Tariffs on these products could make them less competitive in the US markets, and of course, that would lower the export volumes.
And one interesting detail is that pharma products are actually meant to be exempt from tariffs according to a World Trade Organization agreement. I wonder, do you think Trump is going to respect this?
So authorities in Ireland are now a bit concerned about the, tariffs being extended to Irish exports, of course, especially pharmaceuticals, as I said, since this is a huge chunk of these overall exports to the US. However, as you rightly said, in 1990s, according to the WTO agreement, pharmaceutical products have largely been treated as a sensitive category and have been excluded from any duties. But having said that, Trump's policies have been quite unpredictable. And, he would have no hesitation in pulling out of an international pact. He has done that before with the Paris Agreement on Climate in 2017 or the OECD deal for tax avoidance, where Trump administration opposed elements of the tax reform. In fact, just earlier this week, Trump announced that tariffs on EU products would be 25% in general. We have to just wait and watch whether it will be just on cars or other things as well. And, his comment about EU was formed in order to screw the United States and they can try to retaliate, but they won't win. I have to say that this is a very tricky path that Europe will have to strategically tread.
There've certainly been a lot of colourful political comments coming out of the US. Ireland is home to a large number of multinationals who've been attracted to the country because of its low corporate tax rate. I wonder, do you think it's realistic that Trump might try and coax those big companies back to the US?
Yeah, now there are many US multinationals operating in Ireland and contributing to Ireland's GDP. In fact, I would say it's a double-edged sword for the Irish economy if Trump lowers the corporation tax in the US to 15% for companies domestically producing in the US and then also impose tariffs on imports from Ireland. And this could have implications for the Irish GDP and job cuts. Although the Trump administration strongly advocated to bring US multinationals back, in reality, coaxing firms that have deep-rooted operations in Ireland is quite challenging. And, for instance, let's take an example of Intel. So despite the US push, the company has invested around 17 billion euros in its massive chip manufacturing facility in Leixlip in County Kildare in Ireland. So these multinationals, I should say, benefit not only from the low corporation tax rate, but also from the established supply chain, skilled workforce, and not to forget the access to the broader European market. So shifting these operations to the US would involve significantly restructuring these costs. And, that many companies probably would be unwilling to absorb. And Trump takes office for 4 years, but these companies, when they're planning, are thinking on the lines of 10 to 15 years at the least.
And obviously, tariffs spell economic uncertainty for Ireland. Does that mean that Ireland then needs to start being more careful with its budget surplus, so its spare cash that it has at the moment? And to what extent could Ireland be doing other things to make sure that its economy remains resilient?
Yes, the fiscal prudence is crucial, especially in the face of rising global trade risks. Ireland has benefited from strong corporate tax revenues, primarily due to the presence of these US multinationals like Apple, Pfizer, Intel, to name a few. However, this revenue stream is highly volatile and dependent on global tax policies. And so the government must continue to allocate part of the surplus to a sovereign wealth fund or a rainy day fund. And of course, beyond fiscal planning, Ireland must diversify its exporting markets to increase economic resilience.
Supriya Kapoor, thank you for joining us on Euronews.
Thank you so much.